How you going today, guys? My name is Kilk, and welcome to my breakdowns. Today, I want to talk about the 100 Thieves vs Sentinels game on Haven, and the coordination or lack thereof that the teams displayed. Now, bear in mind, it's very easy for me to sit here and pick apart their plays. When you're in the thick of it, it's really difficult. However, it's more of a game theory optimal sort of situation. So without further ado, let's get into it. I first want to start off with the 100 Thieves bonus round here. Now, Sentinels are playing a pretty common 2-1-2, and it looks like 100 Thieves are going to posture up for an A hit. Now, given that they're on bonus, their weaponry is far more inferior compared to the rifles that the Sentinels have. So, after this haunt comes out, it pings only Asuna here in long. Both defenders are looking down sewers, perhaps expecting them to try and take the shorter angles so that their spectres will be more effective at the closer range. Instead, what ends up happening is Tens gets a nice pick on wheel in mid, and the Fade dogs up through short and clears that out. Now, 100 Thieves end up contacting through long, and they're given so much of this space for free. Fade is aware of it, so he's watching it. However, they're just able to run and gun onto site and essentially take it from there. From here, it becomes a 3v4 retake, and you can actually see a channel of pings for the Omen to blind Graffiti and also anyone sitting in Hell. Now, he's about to smoke off short, which sections off this area, so they only really have to worry about anyone up through long. However, it gives them enough time to clear out most of this area. Now, the coordination is good, and even though there's a counter paranoia, it allows Chamber to drop out of heaven and isolate the fights in Hell and also at Graffiti. He's able to get the swing onto the raise, and from there, it's a pretty easy 3v1 retake. Moving on to round 4, where both teams have rifles, and 100 Thieves are looking to take B. However, after a bit of util dump, they get forced out and decide to pivot onto C. Now, this is a great call because the players playing C has been drawn over towards B, and the Prowler in Garage has cleared it out so they know it's safe. Furthermore, Raze is about to nade into window, which deters anyone from being able to contest this angle, giving them safe passage onto site. Now it becomes a 5v5 retake, and I want you to pay close attention to KO's flashbangs and where his team is on the map. So as 100 Thieves are flooding out, KO throws a flashbang. No one is in position to take any space off of it. As they're about to contest it, he throws another flashbang into CT. Again, no one pushes out, no one goes anywhere, and he's just lost both of his flashes. No doubt the call was to wait for Breach because he has his ult ready and they will play a retake together. Now they're getting ready for the retake, but look at the util they have to work with. One Breach flash and one Omen paranoia. If they had 2 more flashes, this retake would have gone way better. As played, Breach ults, flashes out, however, the angle he's on actually ends up missing the raise, which ends up being insanely costly. KO goes in dry and gets greedy for this kill and jumps into 2 more, and the rest of them just fall apart, and it's a pretty easy site hold. Going back to the Breach ult, I'm not a big fan of the angle that it was thrown at, just because it only really hits default. And if they're not concerned about backside, then throwing it from the smoke would cover off a lot more and also way deeper into long, because it didn't hit Chamber either. Furthermore, KO knows that Raze is around Garage because of the angle that he killed the Fade on, but he just jumps in dry like an absolute madman. This is a clear example of an extremely unquartered retake, especially dumping all your util before people are in position and the retake has even begun. Round 6 and Sentinels want to get aggressive down mid, however, just looks and feels super uncoordinated. Pausing right here, you can see that KO almost gets a nice pick onto the Omen. Both he and the Fade are looking towards the same direction. Furthermore, Breach isn't in a position to watch down window for them. What they could have done was ask the Omen to throw a smoke in window, so that way they can push into this area without having to worry about getting shot from there. As played, however, I think there was a bit of miscommunication. KO retreats, leaving Fade all by himself, about to get crunched from 3 different angles. What he could have done is thrown a flash for the Fade, and hopefully both of them would have gotten out. Instead, he just leaves him to die and it ends up becoming a 4v5. Unfortunately, another big error they made this round was having this player push up so fast. They recently saw around 3 people in mid and a person in window trying to spray through the wall. So that means there is likely a player either on C or on A. With Breach watching down mid and Omen watching into garage, there's only a small amount of space that these players could actually be in. And this player isn't going to catch anyone off guard because the execute hasn't even begun yet. And unfortunately, he gets picked, gives up all of A, and also leaves his team in a 3v5 situation. Round 8, and it's a fast execute from 100 Thieves. Now this is designed to see the player at long so they know someone is playing up long. Omen TP's Heaven, and unfortunately Breach hears it a little bit too late, so doesn't get the full aftershock off. Fade C's up long is great as it clears out long, as well as the Omen being able to clear off this channel. The massive util dump and the fast nature of this execute means that all the Sentinels players are already rotating towards A before the bomb has even gone down. Take a look at the Omen here in Hell. He knows that Breach is going to ult across site because he has teammates in Heaven, so he can't ult that way. Now, what he does is he will throw down his smoke here so he can play around it, and as soon as the Breach ult comes across, he's going to throw a paranoia out this way to blind anyone that wants to retake from this angle. Now this blind does one of two things. Either the Heaven players that want to execute the retake are going to have to wait for the players in CT because they're blind so they can't go out, which would make the attacker's job really easy because they'd only have to watch Heaven or they'd only have to watch CT as the retake begins. Or it buys them precious time because you want the retake to be coordinated. The CT players will call out that they are blind and they'll have to delay the retake, which allows the attackers that were hit by the Rolling Thunder time to recover. So the ult goes through and watch the blind come through. Now that delays them all and they're all just sitting in this area, unable to push out. Bang does really well as he plays around his smoke and they're unable to clear him effectively. Now unfortunately they almost win the 2v3, however the retake is just too good. I want to move on to the second half now, and it's the first rifle v rifle round. Sentinels smoke off A long, which denies any information up this way. However, unfortunately for them, this haunt pings both the Omen and the KO, which gives away a little bit of their intention. Now, fortunately for them, they don't get punished by it because there's a trap play going on and they don't want to reveal their position. So Sentinels make their way down long and the Fade begins to dog up long and it sees someone, so they know that at least someone is there. Sentinels get ready to execute their set play with the Breach going to flash up through here and the two players bust out of the smoke. However, at this level and with this amount of coordination, Omen is ready for it and he's playing anti-flash. And at the tippity top echelon of all the players, the Breach flash is really easy to turn and turn back in time before they're even able to execute. There's a pretty unfortunate timing for the Fade as he has to go re-clear sewers just as the execute's about to happen. As played, Raze is able to turn the flash as the set play begins and 100 Thieves are able to take the exchange favourably. In my opinion, a better play would be to have the Breach aftershock this wall, which would clear out both of these two corners, and then have arguably the best flash in the game to pop flash out of the smoke so there's no chance of them turning it. Having these two players have to scramble out of cover and probably full blind from the pop flash would have been a way better execute and it only would have cost you one extra flash and perhaps the aftershock instead of the Breach flash. So the next round after Sentinels win that 2v3, they're up against the eco of 100 Thieves. After a bit of defaulting, seeing what they can get, it's left in a 4v4 and they're just bum rushing towards A with only 20 seconds left on the clock. I want you to pay close attention to this trip as it becomes really important later on. Sen have 3 people going up short and 1 person going up long. Now there's a big slow from the Sage, however he does get taken out. Now there's the Fade in the backside and after Chamber dies, Sentinels know, not only because Fade has thrown his haunt onto site, but also because his location is revealed, so they know that this player is backside. I guess because it's chaotic, this got missed, but the Raze has actually triggered the trademark, indicating that someone is coming up from the flank. But as you will see, no one ends up watching it. So with this information, you know that one player is backside and one player is on flank. So it's essentially a 4v1 for a little period of time. What Sen should have done is have multiple people swing him at the same time, not allowing him to isolate the 1v1s, and also being aware that this player is flanked, so have someone watching up sewers, because if he was to go long, that would take way too much time, so you know that he has to come up through sewers. Breach still has his flash, so he could flash this box and someone could easily swing out and get the kill. As played, however, they peek him one at a time. Breach dies. Raze gets the flank and gets his ult, which allows him to get another trade. And they end up winning a 4v2 against an eco with only one player left. On to the last round, and Sentinels are posturing up for an A execute against the weaker buy of the 100 Thieves. Now the breach ult comes in and the util dump happens, and they're able to take the site without any resistance, as the 100 Thieves are only going to play for the retake. Now they have 3 players coming up from the flank and only 2 players coming from CT. The positions of the Sentinels indicate that they should be able to fight this quite well. The 2 players up in CT are hanging right back as they're waiting for their flanking teammates to get into position before the retake can begin, and they can crunch Sentinels from both sides. So the flank comes in and there's a big fight up long. Unfortunately, Shroud TPs and he gets cleared out with a nade and is forced to TP out again. The exchange ends in a 2-for-2 with Omen slipping up through long and Fade controlling sewers. Now we're left in this 3v3 situation. 100 Thieves know that Fade is in sewers and KO is on default, and Sentinels know that there is 1 player coming up from long, being the Omen, and 2 players that are around the CT area. Now unfortunately, KO decides against flashing long and decides to take the fight up in heaven, but I want you to look at their positionings right now. KO is now open to being shot from multiple angles, both from heaven and also from long. Breach isn't in a position to trade anyone, as all he can see is down this way and also up through CT. And Fade is just a little bit too far to be able to contest heaven. Compare this with 100 Thieves. You have the Sage watching up sewers, you have Omen about to crunch down on long, and also you have the Fade about to drop out and contest graffiti. This all happens at the exact same time, and they all get a kill each and secure out the game. In my opinion, KO should have just stayed where he was on default and waited for the player up long to push him. The last thing you want to do is, if you're in a position where you can't be traded, is to open yourself up to be shot from multiple angles. Furthermore, he knows that no one is currently on site, and Breach has CT unlocked, and Fade's going to come up from sewers and contest heaven. Alright guys, that's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed watching the video, please give it a like, and if you'd like to see more content like this, please consider subscribing. It would mean the world to me. Also, I'm hoping to do more esports breakdowns, so stay tuned for that. Until next time, see ya!